Hey guys, this is going to be part one of a four-part video series I'm doing on in-ear monitors. This first video is an absolute beginner's guide about what you will need, how they work, why to get them, recommendations for gear, stuff like that. If you're brand new to in-ear monitors, I would recommend watching the entire video. If you're looking for something specific, I'll post the time codes on the screen right now. Like I said, this will be part one of four. The second video in the series will be on running your own in-ear monitor mix for your band using a split snake. And then the third and fourth video will be some more creative, unconventional, cheaper ways to set up in-ear monitors. Those video links will be in the description down below once those videos are available. So let's get started. So what are in-ear monitors? You've played shows or you've seen shows where there are speakers facing the musicians and there's speakers facing the audience. The speakers that face the musicians are the monitors. They're usually on the floor pointing at the musicians so that they can hear themselves and their instrument. In-ear monitors replace floor monitors. So instead of hearing your monitor mix from a speaker on the floor facing you, they put the monitor directly in your ears. So what's the point of having in-ear monitors? Don't the floor monitors work fine? Yeah, they do, but in-ear monitors are beneficial for multiple reasons. First of all, the mix is going to always be the same no matter where you are on the stage. The floor monitor doesn't move, so the mix might be different on different parts of the stage. So if you move around on the stage, on the left side of the stage, there might be a lot of bass, but little guitar because that's the side that the bass player stands on. On the right side, there might be a lot of guitar, but no vocals because that's where the guitarist is. Everyone wants their own mix on their part of the stage when you use floor monitors. With your in-ear monitors, the in-ear monitors are attached to you, so wherever you go on the stage, you're always going to hear the same mix. So especially as a singer, if you move around a lot, or any musician that moves around a lot, super beneficial for that reason. So another reason, and one of my favorite reasons to use in-ear monitors, is it drastically reduces your problem of getting feedback. You can't get feedback from your in-ear monitors. If you get feedback, it's from your front of house speakers, but you won't get any feedback from your in-ear monitors. Floor wedges are somewhat tough to get loud enough for musicians to hear them without feedback issues, especially like a singer, especially if the band is a loud rock or metal type of band. And third, just the clarity in your mix. A nice floor wedge does sound great, but man, it's so much clearer and easier to hear when you have a good in-ear monitor mix, especially for vocalists. It's extremely beneficial. So there are three components needed for an in-ear monitor system: the transmitter, the receiver, and the earbuds. I'm going to be showing you a wireless in-ear monitor setup because those are the most common ones that people want, but I'll give you examples of wired ones as well later. So the basics are that the transmitter is what your sound guy plugs into to send you a monitor mix. Your transmitter then sends to your receiver wirelessly, and your receiver is attached to you, usually on your belt clip, and then the earbuds are plugged into your receiver, which is how you hear your monitor mix. This is the transmitter. This is what the sound guy will plug into to send you a monitor mix. Now, every single transmitter, every single system is going to be different. This is the Sennheiser EW-300 G4 series, and they're a pretty popular choice. I've seen them at local shows and with touring acts, so it's a pretty good system. So your sound guy will plug in from his board or system into your in-ear monitor transmitters back here. They plug in the back with either XLR or quarter inch. Now, your system might accept just one or the other. This one specifically can do both, which is really nice. But every system is going to have some way to plug in from the soundboard, some sort of controls on the front, and an antenna to send wirelessly. This one is set up to go into a rack space, but this antenna can actually live back here if you want to have it be a little more portable. And most systems, you saw that there were two plugs in the back. You can run in-ear monitors in mono or stereo. Most of the time, in all honesty, I usually do mono. I know a lot of musicians like stereo, but a little bit later, I'm going to show you how you can use one transmitter to send to two separate receivers, two separate mixes. So with this system, you can either get one stereo mix sent to one musician, or you can get two mono mixes of different mixes sent to two different musicians, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of settings on the transmitter. So if you scroll through here, you're going to see all sorts of options. Hopefully you can read that. We'll see. So you have all sorts of different options in here of the things that you can do. So the main ones that I'm going to show you for now is you're going to focus on how loud the signal is coming into the transmitter. You don't want it to be too loud because it will distort, and then it will sound distorted in your ears. Your system might be different, but mine is set here. You go to sensitivity. So you hear, push the button, and then you can adjust how loud or how quiet or how sensitive you want the incoming signal to be. So I have mine set at -120, or excuse me, -20 24 decibels, and that usually works really well for me. The second thing to know is what channel the transmitter is sending on. Some systems just say 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, and D. So for example, mine says 478.100 megahertz. You can also see at the top on this one, it says 12.1. So that is the channel and the group number that I'm on. So in this case, mine is set to either, you can read it as 478.100 megahertz, or it's on group 12, channel 1. And again, every single system is going to be slightly different. But just take note, mine is on 12.1 right now. Most good in-ear monitor systems will have a feature where you can scan for the best channel so you don't get any interference. I'll go over that in a little bit because mine's actually on the receiver. All right, so this is the receiver. This receiver goes on you, usually on your belt clip, but you can attach it to whatever is comfortable for you. Your earbuds plug in here, and you control the volume with the knob up here. So here, you want to make sure that you're set to the same channel as your transmitter. So again, if your transmitter was set to channel A, you set your receiver to channel A. For mine was set to 12.1. So the way you do that in here, in mine, you can go to your frequency preset, 12, or change it, 12.1. And now I'm set to the same. And you can actually see on mine, like I said, I like how mine gives you that you're on group 12, channel 1, or I can see the exact frequency that I'm transmitting on, 478.100. Make sense? So again, every transmitter is going to be slightly different, but you want to make sure your transmitter and receiver are set to the same exact channel. Okay, earbuds. So these are obviously going to be how you hear yourself. You can either get universal fit ones like this. So these are just meant, let me see if I can get it a little closer. These are just meant to just fit any ear, just kind of like a standard headphones that you would wear on a plane or while working out. Or you can get custom molded ones. These ones are custom molded to exactly my ears, so they fit exactly into my ears. Obviously, that's going to be more expensive, but it gives you definitely a better fit, gives you more isolation, and they're just overall better. Either one, whichever one you get, I definitely recommend the over-the-ear ones. The first few shows I did with in-ear monitors, I did not have this over-the-ear clip, and they fell out so many times I couldn't even count. So getting them over the ears is definitely a lot better. If you don't move around much, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but if you're doing any sort of movement, getting them to hang over your ears keeps them from falling out so much better. But with the custom molds, you have to go to an audiologist, and they take imprints of your ears and send them to the company to design your in-ear monitors mist. So it's obviously far more expensive. Okay, so how to scan. And again, every single in-ear monitor system is going to have it a little bit different. Mine is done on the receiver, kind of a little bit goofy, but we're going to go into the menu. And in this one, you go to Easy Setup. Again, I hope you can see that. Scan New List. And right now, what it's going to do, it's scanning the environment. It's going to see what's the best frequency to be set up on. Most of the time, you're taking your in-ear monitors from venue to venue, so the available wireless frequencies that are available are going to be different at each location. So what you have it set to at one show might not be available at the next show. The wireless environment is a whole complicated issue. So if you have the ability to scan, you definitely want to scan at every show. So after it's done scanning, mine says Bank 12 has 8 free channels. So I can go into Bank 12 and then choose which channel I want to do. So I'm going to go back to 12.1 because that's the one that I've been on this whole time. And this one, again, I really like this because, again, I don't know if you're going to see this, but the RF signal right here, it's showing me that it's getting no signal. So right now, this is a clean environment. If I was on a channel, for example, so this is how it looks like when it's getting a strong signal. See the little bar right there? So if it's like flickering, if you're seeing a little bit of flickering going on in there, that means it's getting a little bit of a signal and you should find a different channel. So does that make sense? So if you have a way to scan, it's going to scan the environment for the best and cleanest channel so that you don't get interference. Make sense? So again, this one, I scan with my receiver and then I set it on my transmitter. Yours might vary, but that's how you would scan. So what if you're interested in wired in-ear monitors. It's obviously far more cheaper. I personally like the Behringer P2. It runs off of batteries. It accepts either XLR quarter inch, but any headphone amplifier would work. You just always want to have some sort of way to be able to turn up or down your monitor mix. For a wired solution, you would just plug in the XLR or quarter inch directly into your belt pack. This works well if you don't move around the stage like a drummer or a shy bassist or whatever. It's clearly much cheaper since the headphone amp is like 20 to 40 bucks, whereas probably the cheapest in-ear monitor system I can find is about 250 bucks. So obviously you're tethered to your in-ear monitors, but that might not be a problem if you don't need to move around a bunch. So that's basically how you set it up. It's pretty easy actually. Just make sure they're set. The transmitter and the receiver are set to the same channel or group or however yours works. Make sure the signal coming in is not too loud, and away you go. So my personal recommendations on ones to get, it really depends on your budget, obviously. My first choice is the one that I'm demoing, the Sennheiser EW-300 in-ear monitors, either the G3 or the G4 series. They're both pretty similar. They're overall great. They can scan. You can see the environment on your belt pack, like I mentioned earlier, which is huge. I just turn it on. If I have a clean signal, I don't scan. If I see that I'm getting a signal without my transmitter on, then I know, oh, I need to scan and find a cleaner channel. They also come with some Sennheiser earbuds. They're not the over-the-ear ones, so just be aware of that. They accept either XLR quarter inch. They cost about $1,000 or $1,300 with 2 receivers, and you can have 2 separate mono monitor mixes for 2 separate musicians. I'm going to go over that in the tips part of this video. You can get the G3 series used for like $650, which is a really good deal. The G4 just has a couple more features, but I've used the G3s and they're just as fine. The other one I recommend is the Shure PSM 300s. They cost about $800. They can scan. You can get 2 receivers. It comes with earbuds. The only thing is they accept only quarter inch, but they still work great. Another one that I like is the Shure PSM 200s. They are discontinued, but you can find them used all the time for around $400. And this was actually the first system that I used when I was using in-ear monitors. They run off a 9-volt battery, which is kind of annoying, but I use these for years. They accept XLR or quarter inch. You can plug them into the front, which is a little different. The only thing is you can't scan with them. You just kind of have to set the channel manually and hope that it works out. If you're getting interference, you can obviously just change the channel manually. The cheapest one I found is the XVIVE U4. It's about $230, and you only get 1 input, whereas all the other ones you had 2, so you could run it in dual mono or stereo, and it's very portable. The only thing is it's on 2.4 gigahertz, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know my rant on 2.4 gigahertz. The 2.4 gigahertz frequency has always given me trouble. It works usually about 90% of the time, but that 10% just makes it unusable to me. Many people I know have used 2.4 with no problems, but I've seen countless shows where it's let people down. So I didn't want to show you that this was probably the cheapest option I could find. I just personally don't recommend anything on 2.4 gigahertz. It's just my opinion, but it might work for you. And if money is no issue at all, my recommendation is the Shure PSM 1000s, which come with 2 stereo transmitters and 1 rack. I've seen them all the time when I'm open for bigger touring acts, but obviously that's going to cost you. For earbuds, if the system that you purchase does not come with earbuds, most of them do, but some of them don't. I like the Westone models. I have custom in-ears. So again, I went to an audiologist. They put a bunch of crap in my ear and made custom molds to fit my ears exactly. I highly recommend that if you can afford it, but those are definitely going to be more expensive. Most custom molds start at about $300, something about that. It's been a long time since I've done them. So each in-ear monitor, the earbuds, will have drivers listed as one of the main things to be interested in. I don't really want to go too in-depth into this, so this is a simplified explanation. I'll post a link in the comments with a more detailed description if you're interested in finding out more. The short story is quality and number of drivers determine the clarity you'll get in your monitors and the more separation you can hear of the low, mid, and high frequencies. A single driver will cover the entire frequency spectrum. So all your mids, lows, and highs are going to be sent to one driver. If you get a dual driver, one driver handles the lows and the other one handles the highs. So the more drivers, the more separation. Overall, I personally would recommend 3 drivers. drivers is just kind of the sweet spot I found, but it really depends on your budget. Single drivers can work for vocalists who just need to hear themselves and get the pitch right. Guitarists, bassists, keyboards, drummers, you really want to have a better low end. I'm mostly a guitar player, so when I first started playing live with single driver in-ear monitors, it makes your guitar kind of sound going through like a cheap radio. So I usually recommend getting 3 is usually the sweet spot, but it really depends on your instrument. But also quality of the drivers matters. You could have 16 drivers, but if the quality isn't good, it wouldn't sound great. So 3 is kind of my recommendation. So if you can get custom molds, do it. It's definitely worth it. But if not, Westone does have single up to 5. I believe 5 is their max. I think they might go up to 8 now, actually. But I do really like my Westone ones. The Shure standard ones I've never used, but a lot of people like them. 2 of the different drummers that I play with like these, and they've never had a problem with them. So those are pretty nice. And obviously, the drummer has to be isolated enough to hear the click track, so they obviously work well enough. The CCA dual driver ones are my backup. They're really nice for $20. I spent $20 on them. They don't isolate as much as I like. My guitar sounds definitely a bit different, but as my backup rig, these work great. I also use them for fly gigs, also if I don't want to take my expensive ones. The CCA also do make 6 driver ones. I haven't used them, but 6 drivers for this price is worth trying, and I'll probably actually just get some just to try them out and use those as my fly rig ones. But yeah, the CCA ones are really impressive for being so cheap. My recommendations on a wired in-ear monitor system is the Behringer P2. It runs off of AAA batteries, so you never need to find power. That's kind of annoying to be plugged into power and a cable. It's up to you. The P1 by Behringer is also available. You do have to plug that into power if that doesn't bother you. My overall recommendation is get a system that can scan so that it just makes your life a little bit easier. Ones that can accept 1/4 inch or XLR is usually preferred, but not required. And to get earbuds that have 3 drivers. That's usually my recommendation overall, but it really just depends on your budget. All right, just a few tips. So my main one is if you have a system that can run in either stereo or mono, and you have 2 inputs on the back, what you can do is you can actually send 2 separate mono mixes to 2 separate musicians. So this is a really cool thing about stereo in-ear monitor systems, which most of them are. You can plug one monitor mix to the left side and then another mix to the right side. And then on your receivers, you pan all the way to the right or to the left. Does that make sense? So for example, in one band I play with, my mix is plugged into the right side of my in-ear monitor system, the Sennheiser one, and then my singer's mix is plugged in to the left side. On my belt pack, it's panned 100% to the right, and then on her belt pack, it's panned 100% to the left. So now we have 2 separate mono mixes that we can hear. This is super helpful, like I said, and it's up to you how picky you are on your sound. I've always been pretty comfortable with mono and a nice triple driver in-ear monitor system. So that's a really cool feature that you could have in here. Just a tip about wearing your in-ear monitor system, it's nice to have the headphone cable inside of your shirt. So attach the earbuds and then carefully slide it down the back of your shirt. The cable gets caught up super easy on a lot of things like cables, gears, and other musicians or whatever, so this keeps that from happening. Highly recommend rechargeable batteries. I'll actually post the link in the description down below, my recommendations for rechargeable AA, AAA, or 9 volts. The EBLs are really nice, and the Energizers are really nice. Just every show, you'd have to replace your batteries every show, and that gets expensive. Just get the rechargeables. It'll save your life. I do have a video on running your own mix of just your instruments. So if you don't want to have a full mix in your ears, and instead you just want to have like your vocals in your ears and then rely on the stage sound to hear everything else, I did do a video on that. So this way you don't even have to go to a sound guy or anything like that. You actually just plug your mic into your in-ear monitors and then pass that signal to your sound guy. So you're actually just always in control of hearing your own instrument. You can actually watch this by clicking the link up above. So that's basically it. The next video will be on how to run your own in-ear monitor mix for your band by plugging your instruments into a splitter or a split snake. And then your front of house guy takes one signal and mixes front of house with that. And then you plug the other side of the splitter into your in-ear monitor setup and mix your own ears. So that'll be the next video. So thank you for watching. Links for everything I've recommended are in the description down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've found this video helpful at all. It definitely helps out my channel. Feel free to leave any comments down below. I try to read as many as I can. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.